Alright, so I got stuck reading a book. Now, why does this matter to you? It doesn't really. However, let's talk about books. Books are no longer important nowadays. Every single thing you can learn about is at the touch of a button. How far away is the moon? 250,000 miles, give or take. Or how bright is the sun? X amount of lumens. Every single thing can be googled and the answer will be there for you. So, what type of book will I be reading today? Well, I got curious about a history book because every other book nowadays is all about practicality, whether or not it's useful to you in daily life. However, there are certain books that I think do hold more importance than practicality, and they are history. Now, whether or not these are history or narratives are to be known about, because they could be either or, considering how far back they go. Now, what type of book will I be reading? I'll leave that for a surprise, but it's one written 2,000 years ago. Now, obviously, it's a book written for today's use, but someone translated for us, and I think that deserves a little bit of recognition because a lot of research was poured into understanding the text, the language of something that was written so far back ago. Now, I will be reading the Bible, of course, but just know that even then, that is also a book, and whether or not you should read it is honestly up to you. All of this is just curiosity, guesswork, really. So, today, I read a book, and you guys will have to see that for today. And that'll be all. Good luck. The Complete Book of Enoch, Dr. J. Winter. Rights reserved, blah blah blah. Reproduced in any fashion with expectation that means distributed free of charge. Transferred from the original Ethiopic manuscript and logically organized. Library of Congress cataloging publication data. Winter, J. The Complete Book of Enoch, standard version. About the Book of Enoch, also known as Ethiopian Enoch. The Book of Enoch, also known as 1 Enoch, was once cherished by Jews and Christians alike. This book later fell into disfavor with powerful theologians, precisely because of its controversial statements on the nature and deeds of the fallen angels. The Enochian writings, in addition to many other writings that were excluded or lost from the Bible, i.e. the Book of Tobit, Esdras, etc., were widely recognized by many of the earlier church fathers as apocryphal writings. The term apocrypha is derived from the Greek word meaning hidden or secret. Originally, the import of the term may have been complimentary in that the term was applied to sacred books whose contents were too exalted to be made available to the general public. In Dan 12:9-10, we hear words that are shut up until the end of time, and words that the wise shall understand and the wicked shall not. In addition, 4 Ezra 14:44 FF mentions 94 books, of which 24 VOT were to be published and 70 were to be delivered only to the wise among the people. Gradually, the term apocrypha took on a pejorative connotation, for the orthodoxy of these hidden books was often questionable. Origin, Com, in Matt 1018, p. 13.881, distinguished books between books that were to read in public worship and apocryphal books, because these secret books were often reserved for use within the esoteric circles of the divinely knit believers. Many of the critically spirited or unenlightened church fathers found themselves outside the realm of understanding, and therefore came to apply the term apocryphal to what they claimed to be heretical works, which were forbidden to be read. In Protestant parlance, the Apocrypha designate 15 works, all but one of which are Jewish in origin, and found in the Septuagint parts of 2 Esdras are Christian and Latin in origin, although some of them were composed in Palestine, in Aramaic or Hebrew. They were not accepted into the Jewish canon formed late in the 2nd century AD. Canonicity 6731-35. The reformers, influenced by the Jewish canon of the Old Testament, did not consider these books on par with the rest of the scriptures. Thus the custom arose of making the Apocrypha a separate section in the Protestant Bible, or sometimes even of omitting them entirely. Canonicity 67:45-46. The Catholic view expresses the doctrine of the faith at the Council of Trent is that 12 of these 15 works, in a different enumeration however, are canonical scripture. They are called the Deuterocanonical books. Canonicity 67:21:42-43. 3 books of the Protestant Apocrypha that are not accepted by Catholics are 1-2 Esdras and the Prayer of Manasseh. The theme of the Book of Enoch, dealing with the nature and deeds of the fallen angels, so infuriated the later church fathers that one, Philastrius, actually condemned it openly as heresy. Philastrius' Liber de Harusaurus, number 108, nor did the rabbis deign to give credence to the book's teachings about angels. Rabbi Simeon ben Jokai, in the 2nd century AD, pronounced a curse upon those who believed it. Delitzsch, page 223. So the book was denounced, banned, cursed, no doubt burned and shredded, and last but not least, lost and conveniently forgotten. For 1,000 years, but with an uncanny persistence, the Book of Enoch found its way back into circulation 2 centuries ago. In 1773, rumors of a surviving copy of the book drew Scottish explorer James Bruce to distant Ethiopia. True to hearsay, the Book of Enoch had been preserved by the Ethiopic Church, which put it right alongside the other books of the Bible. Bruce secured not 1, but 3 Ethiopic copies of the book, and brought them back to Europe and Britain. When in 1821, Dr. Richard Lawrence, a Hebrew professor at Oxford, produced the first English translation of the work, the modern world gained its first glimpse of the forbidden mysteries of the Enoch. Most scholars say that the present form of the story in the Book of Enoch was penned sometime in the 2nd century of BC for Christ, and was popular for at least 500 years. The earliest Ethiopic text was apparently made from a Greek manuscript of the Book of Enoch, which itself was a copy of an earlier text. The original was apparently written in Semitic language, now thought to be Aramaic. Though it was once believed to be post-Christian, the similarities to Christian terminology and teachings are striking. Recent discoveries of copies of the book among the Dead Sea Scrolls found at Qumran proved that the book was in existence before the time of Jesus Christ, but the date of the original writing upon which the 2nd century BC Qumran copies were based is shrouded in obscurity. It is, in a word, old. It has been largely the opinion of historians that the book does not really contain the authentic words of the ancient biblical patriarch Enoch, since he would have lived based on the chronology of the book of Genesis several thousand years earlier than the first known appearance of the book attributed to him. Although in the book he commands his son Methuselah to preserve the book unto future generations, which in itself is a call to copy the books he wrote, so they might not be lost to the ages. Despite its unknown origins, Christians once accepted the words of this Book of Enoch as authentic scripture, especially the part about the fallen angels and their prophesied judgment. In fact, many of the key concepts used by Jesus Christ himself seem directly connected terms and ideas in the Book of Enoch. Thus, it is hard to avoid the conclusion that Jesus had not only studied the book, but also respected it highly enough to adopt and elaborate on its specific descriptions of the coming kingdom and its theme of inevitable judgment descending upon the wicked. The term most often used in the Old Testament described the Watchers. There is abundant proof that Christ approved of the Book of Enoch. Over 100 pages in the New Testament find precedence in the Book of Enoch. Another remarkable bit of evidence for the early Christians' appearance in the Book of Enoch was for many years buried under the King James Bible's mistranslation of Luke 9:35, describing the transfiguration of Christ. And there came a voice out of the clouds saying, "This is my beloved Son, hear him." Apparently the translator here wished to make this verse agree with a similar verse in Matthew and Mark, but Luke's verse in the original Greek reads, "This is my Son, the elect one," from the Greek ho eklegonos, lit, the elect one. Hear him. The elect one is the most significant term found 14 times in the Book of Enoch. If the book was indeed known to the apostles of Christ, with its abundant descriptions of the elect one, who should sit upon the throne of glory, and elect one who should dwell in the midst of them, then the great scriptural authenticity is accorded to the Book of Enoch when the voice out of the cloud tells the apostles, "This is my Son, the elect one, the one promised in the Book of Enoch." The Book of Jude tells us in verse 14 that Enoch, the seventh from Adam, prophesied. Jude also, in verse 15, makes a direct reference to the Book of Enoch 2:1, where he writes, "To execute judgment on all, to convict all who are ungodly." The time between Enoch and Jude is approximately 3,400 years. Therefore, Jude's reference to Enoch's prophecies strongly leans towards the conclusion that these written prophecies were available to him. At that time, fragments of 10 Enoch manuscripts were found among the Dead Sea Scrolls. The famous scrolls actually comprised only one part of the total findings in Qumran. Much of the rest was Enochian literature. Copies of the Book of Enoch and other apocryphal works in the Enochian tradition, like the Book of Jubilees, with so many copies around, the Essenes could have used the Enochian writings as a community prayer book or a teacher's manual and study text. The Book of Enoch was also used by writers of the non-canonical, i.e. apocryphal or hidden text. The author of the apocryphal Epistle of Barnabas quotes the Book of Enoch 3 times, twice calling it the Scripture, a term specifically denoting the inspired word of God, Ephus of Barnabas, 4:3, 16:5-6. Other apocryphal works reflect knowledge of the Enoch story of the Watchers, notably the testaments of the 12 patriarchs in the Book of Jubilees. Many of the early church fathers also supported the Enochian writings. Justin Martyr ascribed all the evil to demons, whom he alleged to be the offspring of the angels who fell through lust for a woman, directly referencing the Enochian writings, Athenagoras, writing in his work called Lagacio in about 170 AD. Regards Enoch as a true prophet. He describes the angels which violated both their own nature and their office. In his writing, he goes into detail about the nature of fallen angels and the cause of their fall, which comes directly from the Enochian writings. Many other church fathers, Tatian, 110-172, Irenaeus, Bishop of Lyons, 115-185, Clement of Alexandria, 150-220, Tertullian, 160-230, Origen, 186-255, Lactantius, 260-330, in addition to Methodius of Philippi, Menicius Felix, Commodianus, and the Ambrose of Milan also approved of and supported the Enochian writings. The 20th century discovery of several Aramaic Enochian texts among the Dead Sea Scrolls prompted Catholic scholar J.T. Millick to compile a complete history of the Enochian writings, including translations of Aramaic manuscripts. Millick's 400-page book, published in 1976 by Oxford J.T. Millick, E.D. and Trans, The Books of Enoch, Aramaic Fragments of Qumran Cave 4, Oxford, Clarendon Press, 1976, is a milestone in Enochian scholarship, and Millick himself is no doubt one of the finest experts on the subject. His opinions, based as they are on years in-depth research, are highly respected. One by one, the arguments against the Book of Enoch fade away. The day may soon arrive when the final complaints about the Book of Enoch's lack of historicity and the late date was also silenced by new evidence of the book's real antiquity. Such evidence would be perhaps the return of Enoch, of whom there is no record of ever dying, but rather still living in the kingdom of heaven. It is appointed unto man once to die, so Enoch has to die once in order for the scripture to be fulfilled. Spiritual scholars have attributed the fulfillment of the prophecies of Enoch being revealed in Revelation 11, of which you find the return of Enoch with the second reprimand of the world for 3.5 years, wearing sackcloth and perhaps with Elijah for company. We may finally be able to count of his life and times after hearing what he has to say in those days to come, until we see him finally die, lay lifeless for 3 days, and then rise up to the heavens again. I assume this was just a quick, brief overview by David Chariot. Thank you for that. Now, let's get into the nitty-gritty. What in the world is Enoch all about? Let's find out. Where's my keyboard? Yeah, I can't flip a book. It's a fake book. Book 1. The Watchers. The Words of the Blessing of Enoch, Chapter 1. The words of the blessing of Enoch, wherewith he blessed the elect and righteous, who will be living in the days of tribulation, when all the wicked and godless are to be removed. And Enoch, a righteous man, whose eyes were opened by God, took up his parable and said, I saw the vision of the Holy One in the heavens, which the angels showed me, and from them I heard everything, and from them I understood, as I saw, but not for this generation, but for a remote one, which is for to come. Concerning the elect one, I said, and took up my parable concerning them, the Holy Great One will come forth from his dwelling, and the eternal God will tread upon the earth, even on Mount Sinai, and will appear in the strength of his might from the heaven of heavens, and all shall be smitten with fear, and the watchers shall quake, and great fear and trembling shall seize them unto the ends of the earth, and the high mountains shall be shaken, and the high hills shall be made low, and shall melt like wax by the flame, and the earth shall be wholly rent in sunder, and all that is upon the earth shall perish, and there shall be a judgment upon all. But with the righteous he will make peace, and will protect the elect, and mercy shall be upon them, and they shall all belong to God, and they shall be prospered, and they shall all be blessed, and he will help them all, and light shall appear unto them. What in the world am I reading? And he will make peace with them, and behold, he cometh with 10,000 of his holy ones, to execute judgment upon all, and destroy all the ungodly, and to convict all flesh of all the works of their ungodliness, which they have ungodly committed, and of all the hard things which ungodly sinners have spoken against him. What is this? Chapter 2. The Creation. Observe ye everything that takes place in the heaven, how they do not change their orbits, and the luminaries which are in heaven, and how they will all rise and set in order each in each season, and transgress not against their appointed order. Behold ye the earth, and give heed to the things which take place upon it from first to last, how steadfast they are, how none of the things upon earth change, but all the works of God appear to you. Behold the summer and the winter, how the whole earth is filled with water, and clouds and dew rain lie upon it. Observe and see how in the winter all the trees seem as though they had withered, and shed all their leaves, except 14 trees, which do not lose their foliage, but retain the old foliage from 2 to 3 years till the new comes. And again, observe ye the days of summer, how the sun is above the earth over against it, and you seek shade and shelter by reason of the heat of the sun, and the earth also burns with growing heat, and so you cannot tread on the earth, or on a rock by reason of its heat. Observe ye how the trees cover themselves with green leaves and bear fruits. Wherefore give ye heed, and know with regard to all his works, and recognize how he that liveth for ever hath made them so. And all his works go on thus from year to year for ever, and all the tasks which they accomplish for him, and the tasks change not, but according as God hath ordained, so is it done. And behold, how the sea and the rivers and the lake manner accomplish and change not their tasks from his commandments. But ye have not been steadfast, nor done the commandments of the Lord, but ye have turned away and spoken proud and hard words with your impure mouths against his greatness. O ye hard-hearted, ye shall find no peace. Therefore shall ye execrate your days, and the years of your life shall perish, and the years of your destruction shall be multiplied in eternal abomination, and ye shall find no mercy. In those days ye shall make your names an eternal abomination unto all the righteous, and by you shall all who curse, all the sinners and godless shall imprecate you by you, and for you the godless there shall be a curse. And all the righteous shall rejoice, and there shall be forgiveness of sins, and every mercy and peace forbearance. There shall be salvation unto them, a goodly light. And for all of you sinners there shall be no salvation, but on you all shall abide the curse of the beast. But for the elect there shall be light and joy and peace, and they shall all inherit the earth. And then there shall be bestowed upon the elect wisdom, and they shall all live and never again sin, either through ungodliness or through pride. But they who are wise shall be humble, and they shall not again transgress, nor shall they sin all the days of their life. Nor shall they die of anger or wrath, but they shall complete the number of the days of life, and their life shall be increased in peace, and the years of the joy shall be multiplied in eternal gladness and peace all the days of their life. Alright, I need a moment. Let's have some logical thought over what I'm reading. This is like the ramblings of an old man, I'll be honest with you. Whether it's true or not, I don't care. I'm just reading it to read. But let's try to equate this to reality, because every single thing needs some scientific theory or idea about it. This guy, Enoch, according to what they said, is the seventh generation after Adam, and he was accepted into heaven or whatever. Let's think logically here. If we don't believe in religion or the Bible or God or whatever, let's think logically here. This guy is crazy. He's someone who warned people of dying and sin and God and transgressions or whatever. So this sounds like a crazy guy. If we were to relate it to someone, like a town crier, that's this guy. And he said a bunch of hearsay. And yeah, that's who Enoch is. Basically, a guy, if he was real and alive, then he's a guy who spoke hearsay, clearly. At least in relation to Judeo or Judaism. Besides the point, if we were to, other than the fact that we don't believe he was accepted to heaven, because, they said he lived, this person, he's a crazy old man. He wrote this stuff. That besides the point. I'm not going to answer whether I'm religious or not. So my take on it, I'm not going to give you an answer on it. On whether or not he is a crazy old man who spoke stuff in a church and preached to other people, or if he is the actual person accepted into heaven. Or what? I'm not going to give an answer on what I believe. I'm just going to read the book. That's all I'm here for. Research. Why? Because it's important. These are books written 2,000 years ago. Not too far ago, I'll be honest with you. It's 2026. So, I think it does hold some importance to read these. I'm going to stop rambling. Thank you, John Winters. I'm going to keep reading now. My back hurt, so I need a break. Fallen angels. And it came to pass when the children of men had multiplied, that in those days were born unto them beautiful and comely daughters. And the angels of the children of the heavens saw and lusted after them, and said to one another, Come, let us choose us wives from among the children of men, and beget us children. And Samyaza, who was their leader, said unto them, I fear ye will not indeed agree to do this deed, and I alone shall have to pay for the penalty of a great sin. And they all answered him, and said, Let us all swear an oath, and all bind ourselves by mutual imprecations, not to abandon this plan, but to do this thing. Then swear they all together and bound themselves by mutual imprecations upon it. And there were in all 200, who descended in the days of Jared on the summit of Mount Hermon, and they called it Mount Hermon, because they had sworn and bound themselves by mutual imprecations upon it. And these are the names of the leaders: Samlazaz, their leader, Akraba, Mermil, Kokoblel, Tamlel, Ramlel, Danel, Ezekiel, Baal-Kijal, Azel, Amaros, Batal, Ananel, Zaklel, Samspil, Satarel, Turel, Jomjail, Sariel. These are the chiefs of 10. And all the others together with them unto themselves wives, and each chose for himself one, and they began to go in unto them, and to defile themselves with them. And they taught them charms and enchantments, and the cutting of roots, and made them acquainted with plants. And they became pregnant, and they have great giants, whose height was 3,000 ells, who consumed all the acquisitions of men. And when men could no longer sustain them, the giants turned against them and devoured mankind. Huh? How big are elves? And they began to sin against birds and beasts and reptiles and fish, and to devour one another's flesh and drink the blood. Then the earth laid accusation against the lawless ones, and Azazel taught men to make swords and knives and shields and breastplates, and made known to them that the metals of the earth and the art of working them, and bracelets and ornaments, and the use of antimony, and the beautifying the eyelids, and all kinds of costly stones, and all colorful coloring tinctures. And there arose much godlessness, and they committed fornication, and they were led astray, and became corrupt in all their ways. Samyaza taught enchantments, and root cuttings, Amaros the resolving of enchantments, Barakiel taught astrology, Kokubo the constellations, Ezekiel the knowledge of the clouds, Arakiel the signs of the earth, Shamsiel the signs of the sun, and Sariel the course of the moon. And as men perished, they cried, and their cry went up to heaven. Chapter 4. The Intercession of Angels. And then Michael, Uriel, Raphael, and Gabriel looked down from heaven, and saw much blood being shed upon the earth, and all lawlessness being wrought upon the earth. And they said one to another, The earth made without inhabitant cries, the voice of the cryings for the gates of heaven. And now to you, the holy ones of heaven, the souls of men, make their suits, saying, Bring our cause for the Most High. And they said to the Lord of the ages, Lord of lords, God of gods, King of kings, and the God of the ages. The throne of thy glory standeth unto all the generations of the ages, and thy name holy and glorious and blessed unto all the ages. Thou hast made all things, and power of all things hast thou, and all things are naked and open in thy sight, and thou seest all things, and nothing can hide itself from thee. Thou seest what Azazel hath done, who hath taught all unrighteousness on earth, and revealed the internal secrets which were in heaven, which men were striving to learn, and some Lazas, to whom thou hast given authority to build rule over his associates. And they have gone to the daughters of men upon the earth, and have slept with the woman, and have defiled themselves, and revealed to them all kinds of sins. And the women have borne giants, and the whole earth has thereby been filled with blood and unrighteousness. And now, behold, the souls of those who have died are crying out, making their suit to the gates of heaven, and their lamentations have ascended and cannot cease, because of the lawless deeds which are wrought on the earth. And thou knowest all things where they come to pass, and thou seest these findings, and thou dost suffer them, and thou dost not say to us what we ought to do. To them in regard to these. Then said the Most High, the Holy and Great One spoke, and sent Uriel to the son of Lamech, and said to him, Go to Noah, and tell him in my name, hide thyself, and reveal to him that the end is approaching, that the whole earth will be destroyed, and a deluge is about to come upon the whole earth, and will destroy all that is on it. And now instruct him, that he may escape, and his seed may be preserved for all the generations of the world. And again the Lord said to Raphael, Bind Azazel hand and foot, and cast him into the darkness, and make him an opening in the desert, which is in Dudile, and cast him therein, and place upon him rough and jagged rocks, and cover him with darkness, and let him abide there forever, and cover his face that he may not see light. And on the day of the great judgment he shall be cast into the fire. And heal the earth which the angels have corrupted, and proclaim the healing of the earth, that they may heal the plague, and that all the children of men may not perish through all the secret things that the watchers have disclosed, and have taught their sons. And the whole earth has been corrupted through the works that were taught by Azazel. To him ascribe all sin. And to Gabriel said the Lord, Proceed against the bastards and the reprobates, and against the children of fornication, and destroy the children of the watchers from amongst men. Send them one against the other, that they may destroy each other in battle. For length of days shall they not have, and no request that they make of thee shall be granted unto their fathers in their behalf. For they hope to live in eternal life. And that each one of them will live 500 years. And the Lord said unto Michael, Go, bind some Lazars and associates who have united themselves with the woman, so as to have defiled themselves with them in all their uncleanness. And when their sons have slain one another, and they have seen the destruction of their beloved ones, bind them fast for 70 generations in the valleys of the earth, to the day of their judgment and of their consummation, to the judgment that is forever and ever is consummated. In those days they shall be led off to the abyss of fire, and to the torment of the prison, in which they will be confined for ever. And whoever shall be condemned and destroyed will from thenceforth be bound together with them to the end of all generations, and destroy all the spirits of the reprobates and the children of the watchers, where they have wronged mankind. Destroy all wrong from the face of the earth, and let every evil work come to an end. And let the plant of righteousness and truth shall be planted, and truth and joy forevermore. And then shall all the righteous escape, and shall live till they beget thousands of children, and all the days of their youth and their old age shall they compete in peace. And then shall the whole earth be tilled in righteousness, and shall all be planted with trees and be full of blessing. In all desirable trees shall be planted on it. And they shall plant vines on it, and the vine which they plant thereon shall yield wine in abundance. As for all the seed which is sown thereon, each measure shall bear 1,000, and each measure of olive shall yield 10 presses of oil. And cleanse thou the earth from all oppression, and from all unrighteousness, and from all sin, and from all ungodlessness, and all uncleanness that is brought upon the earth, destroy from off the earth. And all the children of men shall become righteous, and all nations shall offer adoration, and shall praise me, and all shall worship me, and the earth shall be cleansed from all defilement, and from all sin, and from all punishment, and from all torment, and I will never again set upon it from a generation to generation, and forever. And in those days I will open the stored chambers of blessing which are in heaven, so as to send them down upon earth, and over the work and labor of the children of men. And truth and peace shall be associated together throughout all the days of the world, and throughout all the generations of men. Before these things Enoch was hidden, and no one of the children of men knew where he was hidden, and where he abode, and what had become of him. And his activities had to do with the watchers, and his days were with the holy ones. And I, Enoch, was blessing the Lord of Majesty and the King of the ages. And lo, the watchers called me Enoch the scribe, and said to me, Enoch, thou scribe of righteousness, go, declare to the watchers of the heaven who have left the high heaven and holy eternal place, and have defiled themselves with women, and have done as the children of earth do, and have taken unto themselves wives. Say to them, Ye have wrought great destruction of the earth, and ye shall have no peace nor forgiveness of sin. And inasmuch as they delight themselves in their children and their murder of their loved ones, shall they see, and over the destruction of their children shall they lament, and shall make supplication unto eternity, but mercy and peace shall ye not attain. And Enoch went and said, Azazel, thou shalt have no peace. A severe sentence has gone forth against thee, to put thee in bonds, and thou shalt not have toleration, nor request granted to thee, because of the unrighteousness which thou hast taught, and because of all the works of godlessness and unrighteousness and sin which thou hast shown to men. Then I went and spoke to them all together, and they were all afraid, and fear trembling seized them, and they besought me to draw up a petition for them, they might find forgiveness, and to read their petition in the presence of the Lord of heaven. For from thenceforward they could not speak with him, nor lift up the eyes to heaven for shame of their sins, for which they had been condemned. Then I wrote out their petition, and the prayer in regard to the spirits, and their deeds individually, in regard to the request that they should have forgiveness at length. And I went off and sat down to the waters of Don, in the land of Don, to the south of the west of Hermon. I read their petition till I fell asleep. And behold, a dream came to me, and visions fell down upon me, and I saw visions of chastisement, and a voice came bidding me to tell to the sons of heaven and reprimand them. And when I awaked, I came unto them, and they were all sitting gathered together, weeping in Abishal, which is between Lebanon and Sennezer, with their faces covered. And I recounted for them all the visions which I had seen in my sleep, and I began to speak the words of righteousness, and to reprimand the heavenly watchers. So, Enoch, he kind of seems like a teacher, or like an overseer. He sounds important. An important figure. Whether he's real or not, but he does seem far important in relation to these angels and watchers. Oh, what? Relax. So if we're going off of what we read, Enoch seems very important. I don't know who these watchers are. I don't really know what I'm reading. I'm just reading it. I'll watch it back later to understand the story. But for now, I'm just reading out loud. So, I need a breather though. God. Also, for the record, this is the translation. So props to John Winters for translating this. I can only imagine how hard it was to translate all this. And what was going through his head when translating. Also, I have no idea what these numbers are. I would like it if I had someone who handheld me while reading this and taught me everything about what's going on. But as you can clearly see, I have no one help me. So I'm just reading it as is. Alright. Let's move on, shall we? Chapter 5. Also, I don't think I'll finish this. It's 190 pages. I'll stop maybe in an hour or so. I will pick up another day. But also, I won't be reading more of this another day. This is just a quick introduction of Enoch and whatnot. Whether or not you take any of this seriously, but alright, let's get back to reading. Book of the Woods of Righteousness. The Book of the Woods of Righteousness, another reprimand of the Eternal Watchers, in accordance with the command of the Holy Great One. In that vision I saw in my sleep. Hold on, let me slow down. What I will now say with the tongue of flesh, and with the breath of my mouth, which the Great One has given to men, to converse therewith, and understand with the heart, as he has created and given to man the power of understanding the word of wisdom, so hath he created me, also and given me the power of reprimanding the watchers and children of heaven. I wrote out your petition, and in my vision it appeared, thus that your petition will not be granted unto you throughout all the days of eternity, and the judgment has been finally passed upon you. Your petition will not be granted unto you, and from henceforth you shall not ascend into heaven unto all eternity. And in bonds of the earth the decree has gone forth to bind you for all the days of the world. And previously you shall have seen the destruction of your beloved sons, and ye shall have no pleasure in them, and they shall fall before you by the sword. And your petition on their behalf shall not be granted, not yet on your own, even though you weep and pray and speak all the words contained in the writings which I have written. And the vision was shown unto me. Thus, behold, in the vision the clouds invited me, and the mist summoned me, and the course of the stars, and the lightning sped, and hastened me, and the winds of the vision caused me to fly, and lifted me upward, and bore me into heaven. And I went in till I drew nigh to a wall which is built of crystals, and surrounded by tongues of fire, and it began to affright me. And I went into the tongues of fire, and drew nigh to a large house, which is built of crystals, and the walls of the house were like a tessellated floor made of crystals, and its groundwork was of crystal. Its ceiling was like the path of the stars, and the lightnings, between them were fiery cherubim, and their heaven was water. A flaming fire surrounded by the walls, and its portals blazed with fire, and I entered into that house, and it was hot as fire, and cold as ice. There were no delights of life therein. Fear covered me, and trembling got hold upon me, and as I quaked and trembled, I fell upon my face, and I beheld a vision. And lo, there was a second house, greater than the former, and in the entire portal stood upon me, and it was built of flames of fire. And in every respect it so excelled in splendor and magnificence and extent that I cannot describe to you its splendor and its extent. And its floor was of fire, and above it were lightings and the path of stars, and its ceiling was flaming fire. And I looked and saw therein a lofty throne. Its appearance was a crystal, and the wheels thereof as the shining sun. And there was the vision of cherubim, and from underneath the throne came streams of flaming fire, so that I could not look thereon. And the great glory sat thereon, and his raiment shone more brightly than the sun, and was whiter than any snow. None of the angels could enter and could behold his face by reason of the magnificence and glory, and no flesh could behold him. The flaming fire was round about him, and a great fire stood before him, and none around could draw nigh him. 10,000 times 10,000 were before him, yet he needed no counselor. Work destruction in the earth, and cause trouble. They take no food, but nevertheless hunger and thirst cause offenses. And these spirits so rise up against the children of men, and against the souls of whose flesh the spirits have been gone forth shall destroy without incurring judgment. Thus shall this day destroy until the day of the consummation, the great judgment in which the age shall be consummated over the watchers and the godless, shall be wholly consummated. And now as the watchers who have sent thee to intercede for them, who had been aforetime in heaven, say to them, you have been in heaven, but all the mysteries had yet been revealed to you, and you knew worthless ones, and these in the hardness of your hearts you have made known to the woman. And though these mysterious women and men work much evil on earth, say to them, therefore, you have no peace. We'll say this last chapter. Taken by angels. Angels took and brought me to a place in which those who were there were like flaming fire, and when they wished, they appeared as men. And they brought me to the place of darkness, and to a mountain of the point of whose summit reached heaven. And I saw the places of the luminaries, and the treasuries of the stars, and of the thunder, and in the uttermost depths, where were a fiery bow and arrows and a quiver, and a fiery sword and all the lightnings. And he took me to living waters, into the fire of the west, which receives every setting of the sun. And I came to a river of fire, in which the fire flows like water, and discharges itself into the great sea towards the west. And I saw the great rivers, and came to the great river into the great darkness, and went to the place where no flesh walks. I saw the mountains of the darkness of winter, and the place where all the waters of the deep flow. I saw the mouths of all the rivers of the earth, and the mouth of the deep. I saw the treasuries of all the winds. I saw how he had furnished with them the whole creation and the firm foundations of the earth. And I saw the cornerstone of the earth. I saw the four winds which beat the firmament of the earth, of heaven. And I saw how the winds stretch out the vaults of heaven, and have their station between heaven and earth. These are the pillar of the heavens. I saw the winds of the heaven, which turn and bring the circumference of the sun and all the stars to their setting. I saw the winds on the earth carrying the clouds. I saw the paths of the angels. I saw at the end of the earth the firmament of the heaven above, and I proceeded and saw a place which burns day and night, where there are 7 mountains of magnificent stones. But the middle one reached to heaven like the throne of God, of alabaster, and the summit of the throne was of sapphire. And I saw a flaming fire, and beyond those mountains, in a region at the end of the great earth, there the heavens were completed. And I saw a deep abyss, with columns of heavenly fire, and among them I saw columns of fire fall, which were beyond measure alike towards the height and towards the depth. And beyond that abyss I saw a place which had no firmament of the heaven above, and no firmly founded earth beneath it. There was no water upon it, and no birds, but it was a waste and a horrible place. I saw there were 7 stars, like great burning mountains, and to me, when I inquired regarding them, the angel said, "This place is the end of heaven and earth. This become a prison for the stars and the host of heaven." And the stars which rolled up the fire are they which have transgressed the commandment of the Lord in the beginning of their rising, because they did not come forth at their appointed times, and he was wroth with them. He bound them to the time when their guilt should be consummated for 10,000 years. And Uriel said to me, Here shall stand the angels who have connected themselves with women, and their spirits, assuming many different forms, are defiling mankind, and shall lead them astray and sacrificing to demons as gods. Here shall they stand to the day of the great judgment, in which they shall be judged that they are made an end of, and the women, also the angels who went astray, shall become sirens, and I, Enoch, alone saw the vision, the ends of all things, and no man shall see as I have seen. God. Well, what do I call this? Story time with Shy? No, because Misaki. Harita, what do you think I should call this? Misaki reads. Probably. I agree, Harita. This is Misaki reads. As to what I'll title it, I don't know. How long I read this for, I'm not sure. Now, there's a bunch more chapters. I don't know whether I'll read it or not, but for now, this was the Book of Enoch. Thanks for stopping by. It's kind of weird. That's the best word I can describe this. This is a very weird book. Enoch is a very strange person. Whether or not these visions are true, or whether it's real what's going on, doesn't really matter, I'd say. It's just there to be read. It's a book. In the book, it needs to be read. Why? Because like all things, books are important, especially ones that determine history. Whether or not you believe in a religious figure or not, it's still important to read. You know, it could be, it's not necessarily brain rot, but it could be religious brain rot. That's the thing. This could be religious brain rot, or it could be the word of truth, word of the holy. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. This is religious brain rot if you don't believe in religion. So, you're welcome. I read to you religious brain rot. You're welcome. Now, see you next time. Toodles.